When you dig into the settings panel in WordPress, there's quite a few options, so we're quickly going to work through and show you what some of those options are. On the main settings general page, you're presented with this. The site title, certainly very important. Most themes will show that on the home page. The tagline is a default of just another WordPress site. If nothing else, you want to change that. Your theme may or may not show it, but Google often can see it depending how the theme's configured. So erase it if you want, make it something different, whatever you want to do there. I would suggest not changing either of the next two. If you're not sure what you're doing and you change these, you'll lock yourself out of your site, so certainly be careful if you want to change those. The email address, like it says, is used for new user notification, a lot of times for comments, things like that. Make it an address you monitor. The anyone can register you should almost never select. If you have a membership site and have controls in place for spam, you can check that. But if you just check it and leave it, you're going to get a ton of spam very quick, and it's going to be just a mess. No need to have that going. The default new user role subscriber, that's fine. In our user tutorials, we show you how to change the roles there. You want to adjust the time zone on your site, so when you post blog entries, it'll show the correct time, but also if you schedule blog posts, they'll go out at the time you expect. I encourage you to choose a city near you so it can handle daylight savings time appropriately if needed, versus letting it go based on the number of hours different than Greenwich Mean Time, where it has, I believe, the top here. Oops, nope, sorry, at the bottom. You can adjust the manual offsets. Choose a city and it'll adjust a little bit better for you. Choose the date format and time format you're comfortable with, and then day of the week and language, and you're good to go. If you change languages, it'll automatically download the appropriate language pack to your site to help support that language. Under general and writing, under settings and writing, a few options. You can have emoticons in there if you want. Fixing invalidly nested XHTML, I wouldn't worry about. Default post category can be important. If you forget to put a category on your post, you want to choose something here. You see mine is general versus the default uncategorized. I encourage you to at least rename the uncategorized to general or blog or main or something to that effect. So if by chance you do forget to categorize it, it doesn't look as bad. How do you want to handle posts? How do you want to handle links? Again, most of you don't have links on your site. You may not see that option. Post via email is kind of a neat feature in theory, but not something you need for most cases. And update services is one that used to be a pretty big deal. We had a great list of things to ping, but Ping-O-Matic does a pretty good job. I wouldn't worry about changing anything there. The next one down under settings is reading. Some good options in here. The main one is what should your front page show? And latest posts is typically what you'll have, because even if you don't want to show your latest posts, if you have a complex theme, they're counting on that latest post to be there to handle their widgets. In our case, we very specifically wanted a static page to show on the home page, so that's what's there. And then how many posts should show on your blog at a time? We choose 10 here. I believe in our case that's overridden by some Genesis settings, but WordPress has that there. For syndication feeds, it defaults to 10. This is for people that subscribe via RSS. 10 is typically fine. This is saying for each article in a feed, so for those that subscribe via RSS, do you want to show them full text or just a summary that shows a little bit and then says click more? I encourage you to show full text just because if someone's reading it on their phone, you want to give them your content, not make them click to read the whole thing on your site, because odds are they'll just click away instead, but certainly up to you. And then this last one's a big one. If you accidentally leave this check to say discourage search engines from indexing the site, they will listen. You will disappear in Google in a matter of days, and it can take a while to get back if you check this. So this box is here for if you're working on a development site or something where you don't want Google in there. You don't want them indexing these test pages you're building while your real site exists elsewhere. But if your site's live, double check and make sure this is not checked, because it can be devastating to your traffic. Next up is discussion, how you want to handle comments. So there's different ways to handle this. The first one's just letting things get notified and allow people to make comments on new articles. This only affects, like it says, on new articles. So your existing articles, if you check or uncheck this, doesn't affect those. You have to go edit each individual post, and there's ways to do it in bulk and adjust those. The reason being you may have some posts that are controversial you want to turn comments off on, but leave it on the others. So you can change those per post. This just affects when you start a new post, will they be there or not. Comment must fill out name and email. We usually leave checked. Must be registered and logged in. Again, back to registration. We don't let them register, so this is kind of a catch-22 if you check that. Automatically close comments on articles older than 14 days. I don't do, but again, if you're super news-focused and topical, you may want to, because after 2 weeks, it's less important. I do like threaded comments. This is where you'll see a comment kind of indented under another one, so you kind of follow the threads versus just a big mess of them. Break comments into pages of 50 on each. Not a problem on most of our sites. If you get a lot, that could be useful. Email me when anyone posts a comment or comments held for moderation. Absolutely. I certainly want to know when someone leaves a comment. This next one, before a comment appears, typically is checked like that, where they don't have to be manually approved because you'll stifle conversation, but again, if you have a sensitive subject, it could be worthwhile. But this one must have a previously approved comment, meaning the first time someone leaves a comment, it goes to moderation. You have to manually approve it. After that, it just shows up. I don't do that either, but I can see that. And then comment moderation, you can put in specific words in here to block if someone has certain words. Put it in moderation, and a blacklist meaning it'll go right in the trash if they use certain words in here. So you can use certain pharmaceuticals or other bad words in here if you want to get rid of it that way. But a Kismet that we talk about in another video that comes installed with WordPress does a pretty good job of keeping the spam out anyhow. Then next, the avatars, little pictures that show up next to their name. Do you want to show those or not? We say yep. The ratings, there's a rating system with avatars, so we, again, keep it to G there. And then if someone does not have an avatar, what do we want to show? And you can choose different ways to show how that works. On the next section, for media, this handles all the images on your site. Not a whole lot going on here other than you can choose the default sizes that things upload to. So when you upload an image to your site, it'll automatically have 4 versions loaded or more depending on your theme, where it'll have the original one, plus this thumbnail size, plus the medium, plus the large. Depending on your theme, you may want to customize these a bit so the large fits just right side to side. Do some things to kind of get sizing a little bit better. It's up to you. And then organize in a month and year is typically recommended just to keep things from being one folder full of thousands and thousands of files. It kind of breaks it apart for you a little easier on the server. And then really the last one in here is permalinks. The other ones further down are specific to some plugins that we'll discuss in some plugin videos. And the main thing here is, how do you want your site to look in the address bar? You know, the old days it used to look like this, where it would say P equals 123 or whatever for the posts. And a lot of people did this for a while. It would put each post nested under year, month, day. Typically the way to do it now is just post name, or just have the post right after the name, which is great. One word of caution though, don't change this necessarily if you have it the old way. You may say, oh, I have it this way, but I'm going to change it to this. Because it will change it for you, but Google will be very confused for a while why all these posts that it used to see here suddenly aren't there anymore. So there's ways to set it up with redirects and that kind of thing, but do be careful how you set this. If it's a brand new site, absolutely check this box or this button. But if not, proceed with caution. And then if you want to set a base for your categories and tags, I believe these are the defaults now. Even if it's blank, that's what it puts them in. But if you don't want to call your categories, you want to call them topics or something, you say, okay, it's topic. And we'll split them that way or something like that. Up to you on that. And again, these other options are specific to different plugins we have, and you can do some searching for videos on those. So that's a quick look at your settings and how we set them and how you might want to think about it too. If you have questions, as always, just leave us a comment. Thanks.